Now, there are lots of reasons to replace your corrugated hose over your entire diving career, but did you know that they actually come in more than one size? Hi, all of you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to the Scuba Diving Magazine channel, and welcome to Askmark, our scuba diving Q&A, where I, Mark, a former dive instructor, do my best to answer your scuba diving questions. So if you do have any scuba diving questions, by all means, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Use this Askmark hashtag in your comments to get it featured in an up-and-coming video, and in the meantime, I do type out an answer, so you get a answer sooner rather than later. And thank you to all of the community that helped me out in answering questions that I don't get to in time. Thank you everyone for doing that. But yeah, today I'm answering a question from 23 number about the size of corrugated hose. So 23 number says, I have a question that I haven't been able to find an answer, and I was hoping you might be able to help. Recently, I treated myself to a 𝐟𝐸𝐾𝐿 BCD, and overall, I love it. However, I found that the BCD's corrugated hose inflator is a bit too short for my preference. I'd like to replace it with a longer one, possibly a K type, but I'm struggling to find information on compatibility. I do have an 𝐼𝐸𝐾𝐿 BCD shoulder dump corrugated hose, but the fitting that secures it to the BCD is too large. Given this, my question is, how can I determine which BCD shoulder dump corrugated hose inflators are compatible with my 𝐟𝐸𝐾𝐿 BCD? Yeah, so it's tricky when you're replacing corrugated hoses, especially when you include the actual shoulder part. So the plastic part, this bit here, this is very like BCD specific. So you have to be quite careful when you're like choosing replacement parts. So with that part, I would just stick with 𝐟𝐸𝐾. It's best to stick because they're rarely universal. You can get some like replacement ones, but yeah, the actual BCD bladders that they fit is relatively limited. So for the actual like shoulder dump, the plastic bit at the top that actually screws into the BCD, I just stick with the 𝐟𝐸𝐾 one. You can just replace the corrugated hose for a longer one. That's the really easy part. However, yeah, they do come in two different sizes, which, yeah, as you say, most people don't really talk about. It's one of those things that you only really experience when it comes to replacing one that's either rotted that you need to replace, or in your experience, it's too short, so you want a longer one. So yeah, these come in, I'll always say, at least two sizes. The most common one is about 1 inch in diameter. So across there on the inside is about 1 inch, which is what, 25 mil. There is a smaller one, which 𝐸𝐾, Oceanic, and there might be a few other brands use, which I believe is 3/4 inch. But as you can tell, it's just that incy bit smaller, so you can't use them interchangeably. These do come in different lengths, not just because they like stretch, but you typically have 3 different lengths of them, depending on diver preference. As you found out, some divers prefer a shorter one, so there's less for that inflator to like swing around. Some prefer slightly longer. It kind of depends. If you're wearing a big bulky dry suit, then you kind of want something a bit longer, so it reaches all the way over your shoulder and the undersuit and your dry suit over the top of it. It's just easier to find. If you're diving somewhere and you're just like skin diving in a rash vest or something, then yeah, you might get away with something a little bit shorter, so it's not just wagging around by your navel. So the length is fine. It's just that that internal diameter. So what I would do, I don't think I've got any shoulder joints knocking around that aren't fixed to BCDs, but it should be the same as that diameter. So I'd measure that, just get a pair of calipers and measure the diameter of that. It should be 1 inch. It might be 3/4 inch, and yeah. What you can do, because I think I've seen out there somewhere, is a like converter, which is 1/2 inch on one side and 3/4 inch on the other side, so that you can have a a K-style inflator, and these two, for example, are slightly different. So this one I'd probably be able to fit onto this hose, and the other one, the Scuba Pro in this case, would fit onto this one. But yeah, vice versa, it would struggle, and then just cable tie that in place. Yeah, there's not much that you can do. It's mainly about physically asking the question, basically. If you're buying it online, ask the dive center, hey, what's the internal diameter of the corrugated hose on both sides? If you're buying it online, just ask the dive center what the internal diameter is of that hose, and get one that matches the shoulder dump on your BCD, and then yeah, find one that matches on the other side. Yeah, most of them. Most of the standard size is 1 inch. The kind of the outliers, as it were, are going to be 3/4 inch. There's not much difference. It's just that, yeah, some are slightly smaller, some are slightly wider. As far as I'm aware, the standard is 1 inch. So if you can, try and sort of get it all to like a 1 inch standard. Unfortunately for you, I think 𝐼𝐸 uses the smaller 3/4 inch, which makes finding a replacement inflator a little bit tricky. This one, it is a K-style inflator. It's just got a lot of rubber all over it. This was from a Mars XR BCD, from my recollection, and that's a 3/4 inch as well. But the more classic K-style inflator like this one, most of them out there are probably going to be the 1 inch variant. So I mean, by all means, search around. There might be a manufacturer that does make a classic K-style in the 1 inch diameter. However, I think you might struggle to find one, but it's always worth searching around. Have a chat with your local dive center, because they're the best like reference for these kind of things. See what they can get hold of, because they might have a brand that does a different size. But yeah, when it comes to the screw thread, screwing into the BCD, that one's very tough because they're rarely universal. It's best to stick with the original brand. On the other end, you've got a bit more flexibility. It's just in the diameter of that section there where the hose goes over it. And yeah, for the hose itself, you can get different lengths. The 1 inch is very easy to get different sort of hose lengths. The 3/4 inch, they tend to be a bit more proprietary, because you'll notice this one, it's got this like fancy section over the side, and I think 𝐼𝐸 does something similar. Not sure with their aqua wing. That's more of their like techie backplate and wing style, so they may have had a more standard corrugated hose, but yeah, I'd wager they'll stick with their like 3/4 inch. Don't know, but yeah, have a chat with your local dive center, see what they can get hold of. But yeah, the standard is 1 inch, but you might find a 3/4 inch. Yeah, it's tricky, and as you said, it's one of those things that we don't talk about a lot in the dive industry. It's not like a standard. I do like it when we do come up with standards, like low pressure and high pressure ports. They're all like the same size, except the 1 inch variant, which you don't see too much, but there's few universal fittings when it comes to scuba diving stuff, and I would like to get to a stage. I know why the manufacturers do it, so that you have to stick with their brand, but it just makes it quite hard to customize your gear. And there's kind of reason behind like trying to prevent people from over customizing their gear as well. There's an argument for that. But yeah, when you're replacing parts, it is nice to have that option for a third party, which will do the same job, just a little bit more conveniently for you because it's a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. But when it's like a 1/4 inch different, then it's never going to fit. So yeah, your best bet, if I were you, I would go to my dive center and say, I've got this problem. Have you got anything that that can help? They can really break it down and say, oh, okay, well, yeah, this fitting, yeah, you can't really replace. This part, oh yeah, we got something that can replace that. As far as K-style inflators, I've got this that can do it, and if not, I can get hold of this, or at least this is exactly what you need to look for. Over the internet, it's quite hard for me to do that exact recommendation, because as much as I've seen the 𝐼𝐸𝐾 wing online, I don't think I've ever played with one, let alone measured the fittings for the inflator hoses. But yeah, your local dive center is the best place to advise. Any other questions? By all means, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Remember to use this 𝐼𝐸𝐾 hashtag to get it featured in an up and coming video, as well as remember to head over to our website, 𝐷iveandNet.com. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.